Hello, my name is John Smith and I'm an instructor of web design at Fitzgerald High School. I've also taught computer graphics at Fitzgerald High School, and I also teach computer network system repair. Right now I'd like to show you a little bit about using a photo editor and how to get around. Every web designer needs to use a photo editor to create graphics or to modify photos. One of the industry standard software types is a program called PhotoShop. To demonstrate for you today, I'm using a version called 7.0.1. However, you might have a newer version, CS3 or CS4, and you might not even be using Photoshop. You might be using a different photo editor. However, all of these photo software programs are basically similar in how they're structured and work. So I think whatever version you're using, I think you'll still pick up a few things if you're unfamiliar with using a photo editor. At first, when the screen opens up, it generally looks pretty complicated. It's a lot simpler to use than it looks. Way over on the left is your main toolbar, and this toolbar can be dragged around anywhere you want it to be. I like to keep the toolbar way over on the left. If you look carefully on the toolbar, when your mouse goes over a tool, little words will pop up giving you a cue as to what that tool is. And if you look really closely, you'll see that certain tools have small triangles next to them. And all that means is if you hold the left mouse down as you click on that icon, you'll be able to exchange that tool for a different type of tool that is in the similar category. So actually, even though you see all of these tools here, the toolbar has many more tools than you're actually looking at one time. As I said before, I like to keep these always on the left. Way over on the right, you have additional tools, and these tools are housed in little palettes, what the program calls palettes. And I think it's a good idea to eliminate unnecessary palettes because it covers up your workspace too much. And I would recommend only using the palettes that you really need. So right now what I'm doing is closing all of the palettes. I always leave my toolbar open, of course. Now if you need a specific palette, all you have to do is click Window and scroll down to where it says the various names of palettes. And one palette that I would always have showing is a palette called Layers. And another palette that I would generally like to have open is a palette called Info. Now with these palettes, I want to remind you or show everybody that you can stretch and change the size of the palettes. And I would stretch them whenever I need to see more of the information inside the palette. So keep that in mind. I generally like to keep whatever palettes I have open way over to the right. Now, for preferences, I like to measure things in pixels. And a pixel is simply a unit of measurement, and it's very exact. And what I would do to set up pixels for your measurements is simply go to Edit, Preferences, Units and Rulers, and where it says Rulers, make sure that it says Pixels and click OK. And the next thing that I would like to show you is I think you should always have your rulers showing. So the rulers aren't going to show until I open up a graphic or something. So let's create a real simple graphic. File, New, and then in your preset sizes, if you're doing something for the web, I'm going to recommend that you always set something up in pixels. In this case, I'm going to make it 500 pixels by 100 pixels. The resolution should always be 72 pixels per inch if what you're developing is going to be used on the web. It simply makes the file size smaller. And you should always use RGB color mode if you're going to develop something for a projection screen or monitor. If you're going to make an image only for printing, then I would go with CMYK color. And if you're going to make something that'll do both, I would stick with RGB color. I like to start with a white background, although you can do it any way you want. I like to start with a white background. Click OK. And there's your image. And the next thing I would say is you always should maximize whatever image you're looking at. And down here in the lower left, you can set its size. I would recommend that you set its size to 100%. Now, I said before I like to show the rulers. View, show, and make sure that rulers is being checked. And here it is, it's being checked. And I like to have the rulers showing so that I can see various proportions and things like that. I always measure in pixels. That's about all there is to it, and this is just an introduction to Photoshop or any photo editor really. Of course, you're going to save your file, save as, and save it into a specific folder. And you'd also save for a web graphic file, save for web, and in this case you have either, you can choose, I would recommend, any of these would work on the web. I would recommend using GIFs, and you have several GIF settings, or JPEGs for the most part, depending on what you're going to do. We'll discuss that a little later. Well, that's about all there is to Photoshop. Easy, huh? I'll give specific instructions for other things as we go along. Thanks a lot.